Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Horse's Mouth Live, the Extraordinary Advisor Show. My name is Ellen Rogin, and as always, I have great guests to help you in every area of your life, especially your business. And as all of you know, the industry is constantly changing and transitioning, and many advisors that I talk to and work with contemplate and wonder, maybe there's a different way to be working with their clients. Maybe there's a different way to be charging fees. Should they be changing? Can they change? And we have three experts with us today to talk about just this. And I'm really excited. I've never had three guests at the same time on the Extraordinary Advisor Show. And we did because they all work together in Mindshift Financial Coaching, which is a firm that is really disrupting the industry, which has kind of gotten stale and transaction focused, to come up with a better way for the advisors that they work with. They have a unique way of training and coaching financial advisors about how to charge annually for financial planning fees and run their practices more like a CEO, and allow advisors to create a business that is less stressful, more enjoyable, and boost their income as well. And the cool thing is that this team of three brilliant people, which I'll introduce in a second, speak from experience. So I met them originally through Jaclyn Bradley, who is a coach and has worked with advisors in all different capacities for quite a long time. And she now works with Ben Scup and Stephen Kaplan in Mindshift Financial Coaching. But the cool thing is that Stephen and Ben actually run a practice, and so they walk their talk. They have, in the last 9 years, shifted their business focus and charged, get this, over $1.5 million of planning fees, and delivered over 500 financial plans and grown their business in lots of other ways as well. So I am just thrilled to have you all here. Welcome. And I'm excited to have you share your information with the advisors. So let's just get started with, what does it mean when you say shift in mind shift? And why would an advisor be wanting to make any kind of shift in their practice?
Hi, Ellen. It's Jaclyn Bradley. I'll take the first question, and it's a great place to start. What is the shift that we mean when we say mind shift? And it's a two-part shift. It's a shift in mindset first, and then, of course, a shift in business model. And the whys are different for every advisor. We like to say the whys are plentiful and personal. Let's talk about stress. This can be a stressful profession. I've, like Ellen has said, I've coached elite advisor teams across the country, and even those that are running 7-figure and multi-7-figure firms say that they have a lot on their shoulders. You know, they go home at night and the business comes home with them, and they wake up with it in the morning, sometimes wake up with it at night. And so I was preparing today I was preparing last night rather for today, and I was just doing some research, and one of the articles said the top 5 reasons that advisors are stressed is over 50% said effectively managing their client relationships and meeting client expectations. Dealing with fiduciary regulatory responsibilities came in second. Third was communicating effectively with clients during volatile markets. The fourth was adapting to fee compression and technological change. And the fifth was finding new team members. And I was meant to find this article because the Mindshift method helps advisors with all of those things. And so the Mindshift method is really a recipe for taking the guesswork out of how do you charge for your time, your expertise, and your advice each and every year. I had alluded to that I coach advisor teams. And when I was working with some of these teams, many of the questions came up around financial planning and shifting to financial planning. And if I knew any advisors who had made this shift and done it successfully year after year, because you have to imagine you run your business a certain way for so long. And now you're going to go back and tell clients, I gave this to you for free, but now I'm going to be charging you not only this year, but next year too. And you've had some, place some products with these clients. It can be a difficult conversation, especially in your mind or mindset mentally. And so it was just, we knew that if these elite advisors who are making seven figures or multi-seven figures were having confusion about how to do it, or were struggling with the mindset of how to do it, that being able to replicate what Ben and Steve have done in their business to shifting to this model was what the industry was looking for, right? Because advisors are asking for it, but also lowers the stress because the Mindshift method affects those top five. And then I would just back it up a little bit in terms of just the macro perspective. The industry is going this way. And what do I mean by that? Advice and guidance is going to take the place of product and sales. We had a gentleman who runs a practice in California schedule some time with us, and we didn't know what to expect. He went right to our website and just kind of put time in our calendar. And when we got to the call, we learned that he is in this like elite business owner marketplace with LA stars and things, and does these big seven-figure life insurance premiums. And Ben and I were kind of like, why is he even like talking to us? I don't know that we can really help him. And in his words, he was like, I need to shift because the industry is going in this direction. I don't want to be behind, right? And I want to make sure I get ahead of it. So there's someone who's experienced. Take that to someone who, now look at Jake, one of our clients who is brand new in the business. And he's looking for a way to just go out and talk to people, Ellen. Like when you get into this business, it's so uncomfortable at first, and not feel like, he said, I felt like a robot when I would go in and talk to clients because I just wanted to sell the life insurance or place the investments. Being able to run your business like this just ups the level of professionalism and gives you that confidence and clarity. So great question to get started with. I think before we round out, Steve has an awesome personal story that really gets to the heart of why kind of this transactional model is broken. So if we have some time, would he be able to share that?
Yeah, for sure. That would be great.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I got to see just how kind of vicious this industry can be firsthand through my father. My father was a disability and life producer for Travelers in New England and Met. Was very successful. But and he wasn't just doing that. He was doing all the other things that a lot of other good advisors are doing, helping them with their questions, helping them get their wills done, reminding them to do other things in their financial life. But he was only getting paid through the placement of insurance. And as you acquire more and more clients doing that, while not charging and helping them, talking to them every year, it ultimately becomes not sustainable. And in my junior year of high school, my dad came home from work and he goes, I'm not going to be going into work tomorrow, and I don't know when I'll be going back. Now, I was only a junior in high school. I didn't really know what was going on, but that was a very polite way of saying he was having a nervous breakdown, suffering from burnout. So many of us in this industry, it's just, okay, we're going to teach you how to sell this stuff and go. And we're going to sit back and watch you go as far as you can go, and until you collapse, really, until you retire, collapse, or and that's what's wrong with the industry on the whole, is that, and no one cared enough, nor did he even have an option to go to say, is there a better way I should be running this? And ultimately, he left the business for 3 years, became an executive life coach, and then the managing director of his firm brought him back actually as the director of training, or effectively the office psychiatrist, to make sure what happened to him, because he was hitting his prime years in his 50s. His clients were hitting their stride. He's hitting his stride. This is when you just absolutely clean up in this business and realize I can't have my other top producers suffering the way Steve's dad suffered. So I, of course, foolishly came into the business, but I came in on the other side. I said, well, I'm no dummy. I'm not gonna, I saw what it did to my dad. I go, I'm not doing that. So I came in on the wealth management side. But as my dad would say, you know, the grass is always greener, but it's just as hard to mow. So it's fraught with its own set of other issues. And I ended up successful like my dad, but the business still felt out of control to me. The inmates were running the asylum. There were no boundaries. There were no rules. There was no rules on the scope of the relationship, the scope of the information. I was afraid if they asked me to do something or asked me a question that isn't about the portfolio, do I have to answer it? Am I accountable to answering it if I answer it incorrectly? And once I do that, is all questions on the table. And eventually that anxiety caught up with me, along with eventually hitting a ceiling because I wasn't running myself like a business, right? I had so many clients. I could only see so many of them. If I brought on anyone new, I was going to push someone out the bottom. And God forbid a market crash happened. I'm going to lose so many clients. So many clients are going to go to cash. How am I going to replace all that? And dealing with that anxiety. And I just knew that there had to be a better way, or I'm going to have to move on from this business because it was wearing on me day and night.
Great. So in terms of how there's a challenge, because as Jackie said, and kind of teeing this up, like, it seems like it could be a really hard shift for people to move from being more either AUM focused or commission based, even if you are doing planning but not charging for it. Because I think clearly, I hope to think that most advisors know that really is something that's crucial to do now, is to be really a planner, because everything else is just getting so much more commoditized. You know, when I hear advisors just thinking their brilliance is their asset allocation, I am like, that is really a difficult thing. Besides it not being good for you, from the client standpoint, I don't think you're necessarily serving them to the best. But so what are you seeing? Like, what's the biggest challenge that you see or that you saw from your own experience, Ben or Steve, in terms of how you made this switch and what you see for the advisors that you're coaching as well?
Well, I'll go first. For me, it was mindset. And we use a line that Jackie has all the time. Anytime we bring in someone new, we just have to rewire their brain. They're all trained by these insurance companies, these distribution channels, to just, this is it. This is your value. Your value is that you sell this. So first and foremost, the advisor themselves has to realize that they have value. And that can be hard. That can be hard to believe in oneself enough that you deserve to be paid for your time, energy, and expertise. So it's going from that blue collar to white collar mentality. Jackie has a great line. She goes, it's no longer what can you sell, it's how can you help. And when you lead with that, all of a sudden, you're no longer just seeing the client as a dollar sign or as a paycheck or as something like that. I challenge advisors sometimes. I go, listen, I've only ever had one job. I started this when I was 21. I know nothing else. So I said to myself, what happens if they took away my licenses tomorrow? What am I? Well, I'm a person sitting here with all this financial acumen and all this experience, but I just can't place stuff. So what could I do? Oh, I could charge to help people with all the decisions in their lives that impact them financially. Help them manage the moment, restore order, make sure they feel okay. And once I started to lead with that, and Ben helped me adapt our language away from sales, more towards a coaching-centric language. That's when it took off. Once you make that shift mentally, that you go, that's it. I'm no longer going to do it the old way. I'm going to do it the new way. And I have language and people to coach me through it. You'll never look back. I actually have forgotten how to do it the old way, which I did for 8 years. And I literally, I can't believe I did it. I don't know how I did it. I can't believe I was successful, but it's because they just ask us to keep running through the wall. And that's what successful people do. They will keep running through the wall. They refuse to fail, but it doesn't mean we can't do it in a better way. It doesn't have to be suffering. It can be intentional. So that's where we try to help.
So what are some of the limiting beliefs that you see people having? I mean, a lot of the work that I do with advisors, but also with, I always call them I don't know what to call them, non-advisors, like regular people, is around money mindset or prosperity mindset or business mindset. Like, to me, that is foundational. So what are some of the things that you hear or with the people that you work with, or you noticed with yourself come up that need to be pushed through in terms of beliefs that advisors might have that are less, that are unhelpful?
Ben, you want me to keep going, or do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think we can talk on this. Both of us can chime in on this, but I'll start. One of the things that I really struggled with, Ellen, and these other listeners do, and this was really hard, was that my core work was a commodity. That the stocks, the bonds, the insurance, that was all a commodity. And I really struggled with that in the beginning. And I see advisors coming into the Mindshift program thinking that is the value. And that's not the reality. We really have to look at what the consumer wants, what society craves. It's not the information. It's the leadership. Leadership's the value. And so I think if the advisors listening could really think that through, is think through a client relationship and what did that client value? That's really what when we charge by the year to do our work, that's what we're doing. We're charging to be the leader. Nobody wants to call an 800 number. Nobody wants, to Google, what stocks and bonds should I be in? What allocation should I be in? They want somebody to tell them that they trust. Of course, they think that somebody's going to charge to give them this information. And that's why we charge by the year to do our work. Steve has a great saying that information is intrusion. Want to tell why that is, Steve?
Yeah, it's a great line, applicable, I think, to millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Z, because we're now living in an age where all information is available. And not only that, alternate information is available. So even if you don't like the information you found, you can go find something you do like. But people now go, why are you telling me this? Why are you educating me? Especially if I didn't ask you explicitly to educate me. And this is what a lot of advisors are taught, is I'm going to go educate the client, the prospect, show them how smart I am, and it's going to be overwhelming to them that they're going to want to work with me. But information now is actually intrusion, because they would basically be saying, if I wanted to know that, I would know it. I could go figure that out myself. So why are you telling it to me? Oh, you must be trying to sell me something. And so as we get out of the education business, we're also getting out of the sales business, and we're going to get into the leadership business, which Ben touched on.
Yeah, and one of the things I notice with advisors is there's a desire to do this, to charge for planning. But I think to really make a change in the business, it's like a behavioral change. You have to look at, if you stay the course with what you're doing, are you going to be happy? For me, I was like Steve's dad. I was selling insurance. I was very successful, and I was burning out. I think the statistic in our industry is 50 90% of us are more stressed than any other profession. I challenge that, and I challenge all these listeners to be part of that 47% because it's real, and you can reduce your stress. You can be happy and have a great career, but you got to make a change. But so just if you don't make a change, where is it going to take you?
Yeah, I have a question before I want to get into so how do you address some of these? How do people start in this process so it's actionable for them? But one of the questions I have is when you talk about charging an annual financial planning fee, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, is it a flat fee? And then there's also AUM fees and potentially insurance commissions. So it's all of those?
Great question. Yeah, so we charge a flat fee to do oversight of our clients' finances, to look at everything that impacts them financially. If they need asset management, we can find an asset manager to do it. If they have somebody or they want to use Vanguard, that's fine. If they don't, we'll place that. It is separate. That is not double dipping. This is really important for the listeners. It's not double dipping if you define the difference between the two. If you define the rules and say, here's what you get for oversight of your financial life, and here's what you get for asset management. Those that hire us for oversight, we're looking at everything. If you hire us for asset management, as Steve always says, my job is to get you the most within your risk tolerance. Get you the best return within your risk tolerance. How it impacts everything else, I won't know. That's what oversight and planning does.
Okay, that's
So
very
all that insurance and stuff, that's just the medication. And whether it's needed or not, you don't know getting into the relationship. You know the person needs a leader. This is what I charge to lead and guide you. Steve, any thoughts to that?
Yeah, no, again, they're signing up for help. They're signing up saying, hey, I have some sort of anxiety or pain in my financial life. I want you to solve it. And if we can make the investment side or the insurance side more efficient along the way, and we're the people that they want to implement that, we're happy to do it. Now, obviously, we're also probably in a catbird seat for that. But we just have a very, Ben said it best. You have to have a line of demarcation. You have to have a separation of church and state between product and planning. If you're just going to give it all away and it's just going to be one big hot mess, like I did for 8 years, then there's going to be no rules, and there's going to be this mystification between you and the client as to how this relationship works. Every time you need to make money, you're going to have to sell them something. And I don't know if that's how they want the person advising them year in and year out getting paid. In fact, we actually, hand to God, we've actually said that to clients, as we've made the shift. So Ben had 8 years worth of insurance clients. I had 8 years worth of investment clients. We went back to them and said, how do you think this relationship works? First of all, see if they have any clue or if they can remember. Okay. How do you want it to work? Do you want Ben to have to constantly place insurance to get paid, even though he's helping you in all these other ways in your life? They're happy to pay you. They're excited to pay you. They love the transparency. They love the accountability that you're going to hold them accountable to get things done in their life that they wanted to get done. They're going to hold you accountable to value.
That's great. Yeah. Ben, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted, to your point, Ellen, on action items. So what do you do from here? And to me, one, you go back to what I said is, if you stay the way you are you going to be happy and good? If you are, don't make a change. If you're not, then you got to start to look at change. Then what you have to do is define the difference between whatever your role is, asset manager or insurance advisor versus financial planning. You have to define it for you so that you are comfortable with it, so that you can then go to your client and say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, your grandfather to grandmother under the old way. I'll explain what that is and what you get from me for asset management. But if you want me to look at everything that impacts you financially, here's what I charge to do it. So you're going to have to go back and define the rules. Is going to be critical. I also notice, and this not everybody, so not every listener can pertain to, but we're known in meetings as advisors to overtalk. And we're not active listeners. And that's a lost art. It's a lost art in our culture right now because everybody's on their phone. So in that first meeting, I need you to ask questions. I need the client to be talking 80% of the time, not you. I need 20%. At the end, you can pull it all together, but you need to be there in the moment and manage the moment for the client. The other piece that's an action item where Jackie shines is on practice management. So I would be part of the 53% of the stress in our industry if I made the shift to charge, but I didn't have a team to support me. And that's what she helps with, is getting the right people on the bus and that you can delegate to that are going to get things done behind the scenes. The business is hard, but you can make it easy if you have the right people. Jack, did you want to talk to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, Ellen, thank you for clarifying to the separation of planning versus the product sales, and that in the shift, we're not asking you to walk away from either, but it's just the distinguishing of both. I had the honor to work with Ben and Steve before and after their shift. And so I would say the biggest thing that I have seen is they have been able to define enough. And what I mean by that, Ellen, you and I have had this conversation about defining enough, is how many clients do they really need paying annual financial planning fees to cover their living expenses? So for their practice, we have defined, and I worked with them, on their practice and their team as they were making the shift, that 80 clients paying $3,000 annually, renewing 80 to 90% of that, and refilling only new clients that didn't renew. They were the only spaces they were going to fill. And that made up 20% of their practice revenue, with the other 80% being product sales. And so in doing that, they were virtually able to eliminate marketing. And I think that's, if I'm addressing advisors out there where the chase is not fulfilling to you, this is a great model to consider. It's not, I can't say it's going to happen tomorrow, right? You do have to set things up, but you can really virtually eliminate your need to market. And then to Ben's point, setting up then what are your business and processes? What does the business structure look like? And who are the people? That's what I help with. So the mindset shift comes first, and then we round that out by saying, okay, now who do you need on the team? What roles are they playing for what reasons? And what processes and systems do we have in place so that we are not causing undue stress and have processes behind the scene to support your shift?
Yeah, I love that. And team is so important. And I would say the active listening comes in. I'm sure you're coaching people like this with your team as well. Ben, when you were saying about that advisors tend to not always be awesome at that. I had a guest on our show named Lisa Dad, who's a sales trainer. And what she says is the biggest problem advisors have is that they're advisors. And there's always this feeling like, oh, I got to keep advising people. And I 100% agree with what you're saying about that listening. And then you're going to be a better advisor.
Yeah, I notice it's almost like an insecurity. When we talk to advisors throughout the country, we give them the okay that we don't need to be perfect, right? All the information's out there. You can Google it. Just listen. Just take it in. Everybody wants somebody in the moment, right? Just take your time and listen. And that's a big piece, Ellen. So thank you.
You guys have provided so much. I know we could go on for hours because I even have more questions, and we'll have you guys back on in the future. But I know you have some ways that people can, first of all, find out more about you, but then also some resources for people. So I don't know who wants to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't on mute. I would like to do that. I'm hoping that the advisors listening are at least a little bit curious right now about, what this could possibly mean for their business. We have created a simple recurring income planner. You can find that on our website at mindshiftfinancialcoaching.com/recurring income. And basically what it does is it takes you like 5 minutes where you're inputting where you are currently, what you want the business to look like, and then gives you some ways to start thinking about things when you're making those shifts. As you have time to digest that, we do offer a one-on-one call too. And you're going to see a QR code come up on the screen. If you put your camera on that, that will take you to our Calendly link. And we'd like to offer all of the listeners and advisors 30-minute time slots. We know each of your practices are so different. To Ellen's point, there are different limiting beliefs and head trash out there about why this can work or may not be able to work for you. And we'd like to have that conversation with you to see what's possible and if we can possibly help.
Great. Thank you. And Ben and Steve and Jackie, thank you so much. This has been really eye-opening, and hopefully those of you out there listening will have gotten some ideas or curiosity about how a shift in your business may make sense, or a mind shift. Mm-hmm. My name is, so again, thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Ellen.
And for all of you out there listening, thank you for being here. Again, my name is Ellen Rogin, and you can find out more about me at ellenrogin.com. And if you go to ellenrogin.com/horsesmouth, you can download my special report, What Extraordinary Advisors Know That Others Don't. And so the question to ponder today is, how are you going to add value in different ways for your clients? And how are you going to make a shift in your mindset? Remember to be great and create great every single day.